It's Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. We're coming to you from our homes on this fine looking Tuesday afternoon, and we'll be here with you for the next couple of hours talking local, regional, and national sports. Looking forward to doing so. Wade, it really does look good out there today, and it's a good thing because you've got a lot of activity, and some of it seems to be out in it.
Yeah, it feels great outside, and it is a gorgeous day to be outside. So much so, just left Richland High School. Obviously, we'll talk about what they got going on the hardwood tonight, but they got a bevy of outdoor activities, and their principal, Scott Blair, said, when the assignment for game day administration sheet was passed around, he said, I'll take all the outdoor activities today. And I said, I don't blame you. That's smart thinking right there, partner. So Coach Blair is going to be out there taking care of soccer and baseball and then getting ready for basketball inside a little bit later.
He will be busy, it sounds like it. But like he said, and like you said, great day to be out there. So, baseball, softball teams will be able to get out on the field today and get in some work. Do you realize spring sports at the high school level starts next week?
Starts next week. We're here in NAIA land in Pulaski, and they've been running baseball and softball for weeks now. And we still, I think we're still in that second false spring. Mm-hmm. So don't get too used to it just yet. But man, it does feel nice. It does feel nice for now, at least.
Enjoy it for now, but understand that it is short-lived. Yeah. Big show today. In the second hour, we will be joined not by Chip Walters because he is somewhere between here and Las Cruces, New Mexico, as we speak. The Blue Raiders making their final Conference USA road swing of the season there at New Mexico State and at UTEP this week. We will catch up with him hopefully tomorrow. But in the next hour, we will have Joe Sullivan of Main Street Media talking little local hoops. In the next segment, we'll be joined by DUANE Rankin of the Arizona Republic. He covers the Phoenix Suns. And the Suns, we'll get to it in the rundown, but the Suns are at FedEx Forum this evening. So we're going to catch up a little bit with DUANE ahead of that matchup, talk a little bit about what he expects out of that and what he's seeing out of the Western Conference of the NBA right now. So looking forward to checking in with DUANE, former Jackson Sun writer. Catching up with another kind of ex-teammate should be fun. We'll also be talking some football, both professionally and collegiately, talking a little spring training, some college baseball as well. And it is Top 5 Tuesday. In the final segment of the show, Wade and I will give you, and the Oscars are this weekend, Wade, is that right?
Yep, Sunday, baby.
Oscars are Sunday, so in observance thereof, we'll give you our top 5 bad movies that we like. So stick around for that. Should be interesting, especially considering I don't watch a whole lot of movies. Not as many as I probably should, but we'll see what we can come up with on that. Ought to be a lot of fun.
Movies that may not win, maybe movies that may be not, critically acclaimed or certainly not up for an Academy Award, but we still like them nonetheless.
Absolutely. I think that's the key. It's not anything that would be Oscar worthy, but indulge us. So looking forward to that. Let's go ahead and get started with no further ado with yesterday's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
Let's dive on in, folks. The Tuesday rundown is here, and girls basketball scores from last night will kick things off. It'll be John Overton kicking us off as they defeat Antioch last night 42-35. Hillsboro picks up a 49-34 win versus Cane Ridge. It was Clarksville 41, Kirkwood 23. Dixon County with a 41-31 win versus Kenwood. East Robertson on top of Merrill Hyde last night, 67-32. Hendersonville 60, Beach 41. Henry County with a 58-29 win versus Clarksville Northwest. Hickman County all over Harpeth, 67-28. Houston County takes care of Hollow Rock Brewston 58-47. Joe Burns with the 66-35 win over Knowledge Academies. Hume Fogg dispatching Lawson 40-26. Lebanon on top of Cookeville 45-44. Close ball game there. It was Macon County 48, Station Camp 42. Mount Juliet was a 59-54 winner versus Green Hill. Murfreesboro Central Magnet with a 3-point win over Lawrence County, 53-50, your final there. Franklin falling to Nolansville 61-59. Brentwood on top of Page 47-35. Final few scores: Portland 50, White House 19. Richland takes care of Cornersville last night to win their district championship 54-40 was your final.
In that district consolation game, it was Santa Fe 53, Culleoka 46. Rossview with a 42-40 win over Springfield. It was Creekwood 50, Sycamore 38. White House Heritage with a 51-50 win over Trousdale County. Valor Collegiate defeated Maplewood 38-35. Watertown with a 46-35 win over Jackson County. Liberty Creek defeated Westmoreland 51-43. Stewart's Creek with a 53-41 win over Wilson Central. In boys action from Monday night, Cane Ridge defeated Overton 72-55. Cheatham County with a 67-48 win over East Hickman. Hillsborough defeated Antioch 80-37. It was Hume Fogg 64, Martin Luther King 49. Lawson with a 69-42 win over Maplewood. Lewis County defeated Summertown 66-59. Eagleville with a 65-20 win over Moore County. Loretto behind 27 points from Grayson Burleson defeated Mount Pleasant 58-41. Coverage of that one at mainstreetmurray.com. Blackman with a 64-53 win over Rockvale. Siegel defeated Oakland 67-50. And in men's basketball action last night from the Atlantic Sun Conference, it was Lipscomb 95, Austin Peay 78. We'll be talking more about that one with Joe Sullivan here in a bit.
Girls basketball schedule for tonight now at 6 o'clock. Harpeth Hall will be at Chattanooga Christian. Cheatham County taking on East Hickman tonight. St. Benedict will be at Father Ryan at 6 p.m. Also at 6, Good Pasture at Grace Christian Knoxville, beg pardon. Lead Academy will be at Pearl Cone tonight. Oakland is taking on Riverdale. Blackman will be taking on Rockvale tonight. And we don't have a start time listed. Might be 6, but double check that. Franklin Road Academy is at Jackson Christian. Boys schedule for this evening. 6 p.m. starts for Rossview versus Kirkwood, Stewart's Creek versus Laverne, Knowledge Academies versus Merrill Hyde. Centennial is taking on Nolansville tonight at 6. Also,
that game is at Page, for what it's worth, that Centennial Nolansville game.
At Page tonight, Macon County will be at Portland. York Institute will be at Watertown. Also at 6 will be Beach versus Green Hill. 6:30 start time for Clarksville Northwest, who's taking on Dixon County. 7:30 tip-offs tonight for Joe Burns at East Robertson. Independence versus Franklin. Hendersonville versus
Indy Franklin is also at Page.
Set your GPS there to Rudderville, folks. Hendersonville going to take on Gallatin. Harpeth will be at Hickman County. Cookeville is traveling to Lebanon tonight, and Giles County and Tullahoma will meet in Murfreesboro in the 8 AAA championship game. The sweet, sweet tones of J.P. Plant will be broadcasting that one for us tonight on Pulaski Citizen Live.
Dusting them off, J.P. I love it. Houston County plays McEwen at 7:30 as well. Clarksville is at Springfield at 7:30. White House goes to Station Camp. That's a 7:30 tip. Also at 7:30, Creekwood is at Sycamore. And Richland will host Santa Fe. The game's in Richland's gym. Santa Fe is the number 1 seed. That's a 7:30 tip. And speaking of Golden Tones, it'll be Wade Neely and Adam Hansen on PCL for that one. So be sure and check that out. Should be a good one. Westmoreland is at White House Heritage at 7:30. At 8 o'clock, Kenwood is at Henry County. Going to be a late night for Kenwood, getting back from Paris after that one. Women's basketball today. It's a 4 o'clock tip in Tuscaloosa as Fisk takes on Voorhees. 8 o'clock tonight, SEC men's action. Tennessee goes to Baton Rouge, taking on the LSU Tigers. Classic trap game. Keep an eye on that. 7 o'clock on the ice at Bridgestone. It's the Florida Panthers taking on the Nashville Predators. You can see it on FanDuel Sports. Also at 7 o'clock, also on FanDuel Sports, as we mentioned in the association, the Phoenix Suns come to the FedEx Forum, taking on the Memphis Grizzlies. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your rundown. Hey, before we get to your top story, I don't think I mentioned that Tennessee LSU game is on the SEC network. So if you do want to check that out, that's where it will be. Our top story brought to you, as always, by the fine folks at Piggly Wiggly and Neely's Mill. Be sure and check out their delicious daily deli lunch options, available from 11 a.m. until 6 p.m. Also, their hand-cut meats, and everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register. Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill, Columbia, bringing you our top story. Yesterday, Wade, we talked about Shedeur Sanders not throwing at the combine. And we've seen that out of the quarterback position in Indianapolis, relatively regularly. You don't see position players as often declining to work out, but apparently Penn State defensive end Abdul Carter and Boise State running back Ashton Jeanty are both declining to work out. They will be taking part in interviews and obviously the medical exams, but neither of them is going to work out at the combine. And I wonder, as more and more players tend to exercise this option to just work out at their pro day on their campus or wherever else, but not at the combine, has the combine outlived its usefulness?
It's still the meat market at the end of the day. I mean, everybody comes out, and gets eyes. I think what we're seeing is kind of like I summed up yesterday. Guys that kind of already have a position solidified, whether it's 1, 2, 3, maybe overall, or in the case of Ashton Jeanty, RB number 1 seemingly pretty solidified. It's almost kind of like the only thing you could do is hurt yourself. The other interesting, you kind of make me wonder on this. The only other interesting realm of this, is there an NIL tie-in? Is there one last NIL grab to potentially be had by doing something on campus? I'm assuming both of these guys are going to do something on campus. Mm-hmm. In the case of Carter, of course, not really necessary. He could probably go number 1 tomorrow, whether he works out or not. Jeanty could probably be your RB number 1, whether he works out tomorrow or later this week or not. So, I'm not really sure. I think the combine definitely still has some value and seemingly still some value for guys who don't necessarily have, whether it's their overall draft position lockdown or their position group position lockdown.
Yeah, and I think that may be it. For those top end prospects like a Sanders, like a Cam Ward, like these guys who are going to be first rounders, surefire first rounders, that kind of thing. Maybe it's not as pivotal, but maybe it is still pivotal for other folks. Now, Carter is apparently nursing a shoulder situation that has, not necessarily prevented him from, but is kind of slowing him down. He had a shoulder injury that he suffered during the Fiesta Bowl, and I guess maybe lifting on that might not be the best idea. So, I mean, I get it. I get whatever the reason is that these guys aren't participating in the workouts. That's their call. It's just it feels like as more and more folks opt in this direction, are you necessarily getting the bang for your buck? And I wonder if the NFL will start trying to get that clarified on the front end before they start inviting folks. What are you going to do once you get here, should you come? So, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't have a problem with them not working out. I'm just wondering, is the combine still the be all end all that it was, 10, 15 years ago when everybody came and everybody showed off all their goods, so.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. There's been some chatter. Indianapolis is still the host. This is their final year hosting it. And that's been such a long tradition. Get ready. We'll see the pictures of this shrimp cocktails coming in droves from St. Elmo's later this week. This is as much of an event about the behind-the-scenes chatter and the behind-the-scenes moves that the GMs, coaches, and execs kind of pull off just as much as it is the performances that we see on the field. And, there are some other markets that potentially, could get in the mix. Be interesting with Nissan Stadium opening in 2027 if they potentially throw their name in the mix. But Indy has certainly been a great host, and they certainly kind of seemingly want to keep it. It's kind of in the center of the United States, so it kind of makes sense. But be interesting to see if they do, to your point, kind of tweak things. In theory, you want to see the top prospects, but it's kind of a glorified, it's kind of spring or winter meetings in MLB version, right, in that regard. So for the folks on the lower end, this is a chance to kind of show your goods, go out and run that 40-yard dash and kind of make yourself a household name. But for the folks on the top end, why risk kind of, putting something on tape that might in some way diminish if you've already got a top end grade at that point?
And as you talk about the tradition of the combine in Indianapolis, and this being the last year under whatever agreement that they are in, doesn't it feel like something like this is just made for Jerry's World?
Feels like it's made for Jerry's World. Front Office Sports got an article, and they have Dallas listed on there. I mentioned Nashville with the new stadium on there, but yeah, Atlanta, Detroit. I mean, they could rotate this just like they do with the draft, right? It's been in Indy since 1987. But one thing about the NFL is, they're always willing to kind of change and make things even bigger. And, you can buy tickets to the combine now. And I mean, it's kind of been commercialized. So I don't see it going away in that sense. But yeah, why not kind of rotate it around and give yourself a chance to make even more money, which is kind of the ultimate end-all goal for the league there.
I'm interested in who the person is who buys tickets to the combine.
The football nerds are out there, baby. Same people that are buying tickets to watch Media Day at the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Let's take a break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we come back, we will be joined by DUANE Rankin of the Arizona Republic, talking a little NBA. Stick around. Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Step into the Lionel retail store at Ockley Mills, Nashville, and you'll be captivated by all the magic of the 123-year history of Lionel trains. Whether you're already a train enthusiast or just getting started, Lionel will energize your love for trains. NASCAR fan? Come check out your local Lionel station to learn all there is to know about model trains and die-cast NASCAR collectibles. Visit nashville.lionel.com or call 615-455-9399.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
You're seeing the signs too, right?
What signs?
So Busy Bee is a very close-knit family. We fight just like every family does. We have arguments, but we always come out with a solution to the problems. We don't just fight about what we want, we fight about what customers need. We want to make sure that every customer we go to is more than satisfied. And that doesn't just start whenever we show up at their door, that starts when we show up every day at work. We want to make sure that we are serving our customers to the best of our ability.
Top 5 Tuesday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. In our final segment of the show, Wade and I will be giving you our top 5 bad movies we like. So stick around for that. Should be fun. Right now, we are joined by DUANE Rankin, who covers the Phoenix Suns for the Arizona Republic. Former Jackson Sun writer. That's where we kind of came into contact with each other another lifetime ago. But DUANE, thanks for taking some time to catch up with us here today. I know you are getting ready for the Suns and the Grizzlies here this evening. So thanks.
Oh, no problem. No problem. Mr. Patton, Nashville. Saw many playoff games, saw many UT games. Peyton Manning, one of the highest, one of the best eras of the university. Saw him ascend. So it was some good time, no question about that.
No question, man. I hope things are going well in Phoenix. Tell us about the Suns coming into this ball game tonight. Yeah.
3 games under 500, underachieving, $400 million team going into the season, and that team should not be 3 games under 500. You have Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal, but they don't defend, they don't rebound well, and they turn the ball over. You cannot do any of those things and expect to have a good season, let alone a great one. So that's their Achilles heels right now. And when you're this many games in and there's still an issue, I don't know how you turn that around. They are 11th in the West, which means if the playoffs started today, they would not even make the play-in. So a lot of problems. But they got a little time left, just a little, to try to flip this thing. So that could start tonight against a team they've already have lost to twice this season. Both games, I believe, were in Phoenix.
Okay. Obviously, there was some talk as you came up on the trade deadline here not too long ago. Possibly Beal moving, possibly Durant moving. Neither of those took place. I don't know that either of those would have addressed the issues that you just brought up. But, you know, what was it that I guess Durant vetoed a move, and I guess Beal's contract kind of vetoes a move. But, you know, how close were they to doing anything with either of those guys?
I mean, Beal was a matter of trying to find a right spot for him to go to that would be for him, because he has a no trade clause. So it all was depending on whether he liked the place that you were trying to send him to get Jimmy in. It would have been a multi-team trade. Durant, it was more of, you know, the Warriors. Warriors had an interest. So you're like, all right, can we make this happen? And then Durant saying no. And so Warriors said, okay, we'll just take the guy that you've been tracking to get the whole time, and Jimmy Butler. So it all just it went from weeks of trying to get Jimmy. I mean, they was trying all kinds of ways. I describe it like a Rubik's Cube. You know, you get one side right. Oh, okay, well, that's all off. Now we got to fix that side. You fix that side. Oh, financially we're good. Bill don't want to go there. I mean, it's like every time they turned and thought they had something, something was loose on the other end. So that's why those Bill deals didn't come into fruition.
What is I mean, I don't know that you can answer this, and I don't know that we can ever actually know, but is there a level of disappointment that they weren't able to get Beal moved in particular?
Well, you're over the second tax apron, right? You're trying to get under that so you can be more flexible with your roster. When you're paying a guy in the third year of a $251 million contract, well, you're trying to figure out a way to reduce that number so you can start doing some real work with your roster. And moving Beal would have been a direction into doing that. So not being able to do that, and when the locker room knew, okay, the only way you're going to get Jimmy was to move Brad, so that's a conflict right there into itself. So it would have helped as far as trying to get to that number that they need to get under to be under the second tax apron. So, yeah, I mean, they're disappointed because you went after the guy for weeks and you didn't land him. So that's definitely a certain level of disappointment with that. Durant, it just feels like at this point now, the guy finds out you're trying to trade him. Now you're like, now we got a guy in this locker room that, Durant's going to play. He's going to win. That's what he's trying to do. But they're upset, in the camp because it's like, hey, what y'all doing? What y'all doing? So you add those two up, the team's not winning. You brought in your third coach in 3 years, and you're not winning. So you're paying all this money, and you're not winning.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So it all adds up to levels of disappointment.
No doubt. And DUANE, I am curious, as you mentioned, kind of sitting there in the 11 spot, a couple game cushion on San Antonio, who knows what happens with them. If Phoenix somehow pulls it together, considering kind of the log jam that's there in the middle of the Western Conference, how high could they climb potentially if they go on a little bit of a run over these last 30 or so?
Let's just put an asterisk on the fact that they have the toughest remaining schedule.
I'm looking through it. It looks brutal.
Okay, they've got Boston twice, Memphis twice, Cleveland, Denver, Minnesota twice, Houston, Warriors. I mean, I could go on and on. I mean,
at the Knicks game late in
they have the toughest remaining schedule. So the goal should probably be to get in the play-in and then hope to get maybe 7 or 8 and then win just one, need to just win one, or could afford to lose one and win one to get into the playoffs. I mean, to get to that 6th spot, I mean, they still got to play the Lakers. They still got to play Dallas. They still got to play the Clippers. I mean, the schedule it's ridiculous. I mean, right here they got, just looking at this game right here, for example, they play in Memphis, obviously. They go home one day, and then they got 2 against New Orleans. I think it's a back-to-back, I think. If is that what it says, I think it's a back-to-back. That's 3 and 4 days. You're going to travel cross country, and you're going to rest, obviously. But then you're going to have to play New Orleans. Now, granted, New Orleans is a bad team, but New Orleans beat Phoenix in New Orleans without Zion. I think Zion is playing now. So, I mean, this just they should be thinking, let's get in the play-in as high as they can. Get 1 to be a 7 seed because you do not, I repeat, you want no parts of OKC in the first round. You want none. And if you're the Suns, you really don't want Memphis in the first round either. But if you're having to pick one, you would rather play Memphis than OKC, which isn't a good deal either. So ideally, they would like to get to 6. I think they're like 4.5, maybe 5.5 out of that spot. But you're talking about doing a lot of winning and other teams doing their share of losing to get there. So you're asking a lot on both ends.
It's been grim thus far, but is there still kind of a holdout of hope in the sense, hey, if this team can drag itself to the postseason? I know especially Durant's got a lot of wear and tear on that body, but is there a thought that maybe internally that if they can just drag themselves into the playoffs that they can make a run in your mind?
Well, I mean, they started 8-1, so I mean, they know that they can string together some wins. I mean, they know talent-wise. If you've got 3 guys like that who are scorers like they are, you ought to be a better team. So there is optimism. I mean, because they aren't playing well and they can play better. That's their saving grace. Okay, they can play better, so if they can get on a run, then yes. But they don't guard. Like you're gonna see tonight. You're gonna see tonight. It's gonna be, Desmond Bain. They target guys. They target Grayson Allen. They target Tyus Jones. They get switches and they just go at them. And then if you go help, that's leaving the boards bare for a Jaren Jackson Jr. or whoever wants to go in there and crash. So they have this dilemma of guarding the ball, which exposes the inside, and then leaves guys giving up offensive rebounds. And so if they can, it's a big if they can clean up the defensive end, maybe they can get away with some of these turnovers. And then you can still, because offensively, when they get shots on goal, they're shooting high 40s, low 50s, and they're shooting, 38, 39% from 3. They have those. They can have that game anytime they want, but it doesn't help if you're giving up 20 to plus points off the turnovers, and you're giving up offensive rebounds, and you're giving up threes. I mean, Toronto was a 35% three-point shooting team. They went 20 for 35 against the Suns, hitting 7 straight on their last 7 possessions of the game. This is the Raptors, not the Grizzlies, not the Thunder, not the Cavs, the Raptors.
Hey, since you did mention the Grizzlies, I got to ask, handicap the matchup tonight. We got a glimpse the last go around, but what about Edie versus Bol? The two towers down low. Handicap that one for us.
I mean, Edie's a big body, so he's gonna try to use that against Bol. And Bol's been playing as of late, so Bol's been getting minutes. I look at Memphis and listen. I knew Taylor Jenkins when he was coaching the G League. Last year or so, I was covering the G League, the Erie Bayhawks. Taylor Jenkins was just getting started coaching in the league. I think it was Canton or Austin or one of those. I can't remember what team it was. But you could see then he was a good coach. So they have a good coach. They have a system, regardless of who plays. They play the same. We know who Ja is. We know Jaren Jackson Jr., what he brings. But Desmond Bane, the Suns should have drafted Desmond Bane. Okay, that's what should have happened. But they didn't, and that's fine. But you see what he's become. He went from a guy, his arms are too short, he's too stocky, he looks like a football player, he's not a basketball player, to one of the best third options in the league. If you have Desmond Bane as your third option, and they develop guys. I mean, my man Aldama, this guy was a G League guy. He's now a contributor to this team. Their ability to develop guys, along with helping the talent that they currently have get better, the high end talent, is why they are where they are. They're top 8 in defensive efficiency, offensive efficiency, or defensive offensive rating, however you want to phrase it. This team is for real. I know they're struggling as of late, but I wouldn't want to play them in the first round in the semifinal series because they're going to have home court for both if they stay second. I wouldn't want to do that. I wouldn't want to play them in Memphis because I've been in that arena enough times to know they get it rocking. That's a wrap. I can remember a Suns team that won 64 games. Went into Memphis. Memphis didn't have anybody. Ja was on the bench, hurt. Jaren Jackson, all our guys were out. They were playing the G League team basically and beat the Suns. That building has some power to it.
When they get to whipping that trick in there, you better watch it for sure. DUANE Rankin of the Arizona Republic joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. DUANE, obviously Suns Grizzlies is a pivotal matchup for tonight, but everything kind of seems to be an undercard. Give us your thoughts on the Mavs and the Lakers, the 9 o'clock tip on TNT tonight.
Look, I'm trying to catch the second half at least,
right quick.
Yeah, trying to catch the second half. No, seriously though. That's going to be must see. I mean, for them to have that game when you have that, that trade happening, and then to be within days or within a couple weeks to have that matchup. Wow. And Luka coming off the last game he had where he looked like the old, going to look like the Luka that we know. He's going to be dialed up to 11 for this one. So
the only thing that would make this hotter would be if it was at American Airlines Arena, I think. But
yes.
it still promises to be, like you said, must see.
No question. It should be a great game. I mean, only thing that would also make it better if Anthony Davis is healthy. Unfortunately, he won't be playing. But yeah, I mean, this is going to be drama upon drama in LA. I mean, it's the perfect place. That's Hollywood is the perfect place for a game like this. It'll be must see, no question.
With the Mavs being a little beat up, do the Lakers kind of name their number tonight?
I don't know. I mean, because there still could be some pride with Dallas. Like, hey, yeah, we traded you, but we're not bad. Like we didn't just fall off the cliff because we made this trade. We still think we're a playoff team in the West. And last time I checked, Kyrie Irving can still do it. He might. This is also that kind of game where he just spoils everything. Like just shows up. This is one of them. He shows up, goes for 40-something.
Yeah.
It just spoils everything. Like our eyes are on Luka, our eyes are on LeBron, and Kyrie comes in and just hits dagger shots at the end of the game to win it. So this is also tailor-made for him to be the spoiler, to be the villain, and he would love nothing more than to stick it to the Lakers in a moment like this. So I'm curious who will be there. Is Dirk going to show up again? Like who's showing up to see this? What's Celebrity Row? That's usually the barometer for Laker games. Whatever's on Celebrity Row tells you how big the game is. So I'm curious to who ends up paying 4-figure, 5-figure dollars to sit courtside tonight.
The Kyrie Irving aspect of this is something that I hadn't seen, but as soon as you said that, it's like, you know what? That's definitely an X factor here, because all eyes are on everybody else, and it would be Kyrie to say, "Hey, I'm still here."
Right.
Yeah. Dwayne, how do you feel like now that we've kind of stepped away a little bit from the trade deadline? I mean, the move that the Warriors made to get Jimmy seems to be paying off, right?
Yeah, Jimmy's a guy that he got something to prove. Jimmy's a guy that has something to prove. And trust me, the Suns wanted him bad. They wanted him bad. They wanted him so bad to pair up with Devin and Kevin, because Jimmy is not only an alpha, he's a guy that gets in your face. Hey, look, you're not doing your job. We need you to do your job. That would have been more effective in Phoenix, because Golden State has that guy. They have Draymond. Draymond is that guy. But now they have two of those. And Jimmy is he's someone that doesn't need the ball to impact the game, but he hits tough shots. He hits clutch shots. He knows how to play in those moments, and he knows how to play off of guys too. He can play off of Steph. He can play off of him, so I think that right now, I mean, looking at it, Jimmy is doing what Jimmy does. It's getting close to playoff time, and Jimmy is showing up. Playoff Jimmy is in mode already, and so the Warriors are benefiting from that. Now, what they end up doing and where they end up in it, I don't know. But as of right now, they're getting the best of Jimmy Butler at this point.
It is interesting because, they've already shown some clips. I mean, he's in the huddle actively engaged and borderline drawing up plays where for the last 2 or 3 months, he's kind of been off to the side and looking like he wanted to be anywhere else other than in a Heat uniform on the nights he actually was in uniform. But it seems like he does feel a little rejuvenated, and that's why I'm captivated to kind of see where maybe they go with a reinvigorated Jimmy Butler at their disposal.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like he's right. He's back. He's back. In his mind, I'm back. He lost joy, as he said, the joy to play. It's like the joy is back, and the joy for him is being this. Let's fight. Let's battle. Let me know you in front of me, not better than me. I'm. I know I came from Marquette. I've been the underdog my whole life. You're not better than me, and I'm gonna show you that tonight. And when he's in that mode right there, he's scary, because that means that other guys are feeding off of that. I mean, Steph played with Draymond. Steph likes a little drama too. Okay, don't let the choir boy fool you. He likes that energy that Draymond brings to the table. Now he's got Jimmy bringing some of that too. Oh yeah, he's loving that.
And the thing, you mentioned that the Warriors already had an alpha in Draymond, and now you bring Jimmy in. And Wade and I have kind of been wondering when it's going to be that those two are going to get in each other's face, or when the two of them are going to team up on somebody else? Which is it going to be?
I think it'll be more of those two teaming up on someone before they do it with each other. I think there's a respect level on both sides. I mean, Jimmy's got to respect what Draymond has accomplished, and Draymond's got to respect what Jimmy has done with multiple teams. Like at Philadelphia, he helped that going. He got that going. Obviously, Miami finals twice. Now he's with them. So there's a respect level of Jimmy's journey that Draymond has to respect. So the respect level is on both ends. Now, will they get into it? Probably. I mean, they probably will. I mean, at some point, because maybe it'll be Jimmy. Maybe doesn't understand what happened on this play, or okay, I'm used to doing it this way, and Dre may be like, no, I'm used to we do it this way. And Draymond has done that, where guys come in on a team that's kind of new. He's like, no, this isn't how the Warriors work. This is how we work. And so you might get that just by Jimmy not knowing everything at a certain point. But other than that, I mean, I think it'll be a good relationship. And Jimmy did sign an extension. So, they're going to be with him for a while. So, it's like get to know the guy and figure it out. And they're showing to be a better team with him right now. And that's all you can ask for when you make a trade.
There you go. Dwayne, we mentioned OKC a little bit ago. What do you take from SGA getting rid of his agent here not too long ago?
It's interesting because it's like, you're seeing some of that where players want to be more in control. They want to run, they want to do their own thing. They don't want to have to answer the guys. And I don't know enough about, the why, the how and why, to be honest with you, to speak on it, but speak on that element of it. But I just do know that players want to have more control of what they do. And Shea obviously felt the need to I want to be in control and not have to have an agent or, deal with an agent, so to speak. But he's an interesting player because he's obviously a great player, but the superstar thing is the next step. And I don't think he's there as far as the notoriety of people knowing who he is. That could be okay. He's playing, he's from Canada. It could be he's in a small market at OKC. It could be that. But, Russell Westbrook was there. He became that guy. Durant was there, but he already had come in kind of that guy.
Right.
But that stayed there. I mean, he had a movie from there. I can't remember the name of it. The movie he was in, Thunderstruck, is that what it was, or something like that? When he was playing the athlete and
yeah.
That
might be on our list of bad movies we like a little bit later. It's well done. 27% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Look at Mo, it happened. Trust me.
27%. Wow.
So that's I'm just saying. I think that Shea could be there, but he's not really out there. You know what I mean? And that could be part of it. I don't know if sometimes the agency doesn't put the player in the positions to get that superstar status. And maybe he's thinking, I could do that on my own. Don't know the levels of all of that. I just know that, the athlete wants to be more and more in control of what they do, in control of their narrative. And this may be the case for Shaq.
Makes sense. DUANE Rankin of the Arizona Republic joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Again, Phoenix at the FedEx Forum taking on the Grizzlies tonight, and he's got you covered. You can check him out on X or at Twitter, however you care to refer to it, at DUANE Rankin, DUANE Rankin. DUANE, appreciate your time, man. Thanks for checking in with us. Great to catch up, and look forward to getting with you soon.
No question. Tell Joe Sullivan I said hi. He was one of my editors for the internship at the Asbury Park Press. Joe and I go a ways back. I did some freelance work for him when he was with the Boston Globe, and Joe was one of the first ones that said I could do this for a living. So salute to Joe. I'll tell him I said what's up.
We'll do it, DUANE. We appreciate you.
Thank you, DUANE.
Y'all be easy.
All right. Hey, let's take a break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we come back, we'll talk a little football. And again, at the top of the second hour, we will have former Boston Globe sports editor Joe Sullivan talking a little local hoops. Stick around for all of that and more.
Do you want to be a bad man? Yes, you do. Do you want to taste sweet salvation underneath the summer moon? Do you need another hand now? Yes, you do. Go see Miss Josie down on Columbus Avenue. All right, Columbus Avenue.
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com. Top 5 Tuesday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. College football, looking at tweaking the college football playoff after 1 year, maybe. Commissioners from the various FBS conferences are meeting in Dallas-Fort Worth today, and obviously there's some concerns, I guess, with the way the bracket kind of shook out for last year's playoff, with folks getting buys that probably shouldn't have and folks not getting buys that probably should have. And so there's a lot being discussed, and most of it's being driven, as you would expect, by the Southeastern Conference and the Big Ten. And so the question is going to be, I guess, Wade, whether everybody else is just willing to fall in behind those two with whatever proposals they come up with.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? And you kind of said it best. The bracket had some questions and had some concerns. It only really had some questions and concerns for the SEC and Big Ten, because they wanted more teams in and they wanted more teams with buys. And it feels inevitable that this is kind of where we're headed. These big two, forget the Power Five, forget the Power Four. We're down to the Power Two, basically. And these two leagues are going to do everything in their power to get as many teams in and to give their teams as many advantages as possible. It feels a little inevitable, and that's what I'm really curious about is, can these other smaller leagues, and I'm including the ACC and Big 12s, can they kind of hang on and protect what little scraps they do kind of have at this point?
Yeah. I know that fair is something that you go to ride rides and eat funnel cake. I get it. But, you know, when this becomes a Big Ten SEC production, isn't the average fan at some point just going to get tired of that? Of the Big Ten and the SEC winning the national championship every year because they have kind of rigged this thing in such a way that if they've got 8 of the 12 or 8 of the 14 bids, you know, what chance does, you know, a Florida State or a Kansas State or somebody like that have?
It's a fair question, right? And I mean, if nothing else, if your ultimate end-all, be-all goal is to kind of break away and split, if you're the Big Ten and the SEC, you just keep stacking the deck until everybody gets frustrated or everybody turns your back, and then you can justify, well, you know what? We're just going to have to form our own. You know, we're just going to have to form our own league. Our super league at this point becomes an option. And the smaller conferences, you know, it's interesting too. They're meeting. But also there was kind of a joint session between the SEC and Big Ten they held in New Orleans within the last couple of weeks. Seemingly, a lot of the other leagues were not even invited or kind of kept in the loop. I mean, they're not being so secretive with their plans here. And it feels like for the league that's got all the power, Big Ten, you know, winning a couple in a row now, and the SEC obviously on that great run before, it feels like everybody else is definitely kind of getting boxed out, or at least that's the direction we're headed.
Yeah. And when we go, there is a 14 team playoff being proposed for 2026, in which the Big Ten and the SEC would each get 4 teams in. And then you've got another 6 teams, 2 from the ACC, 2 from the Big 12, your best group of 5, and 1 at large, which I guess that 1 at large could conceivably be a 5th Big Ten or a 5th SEC team. If you are the Big 12 or the ACC, I mean, I'm not necessarily sure what you can do about it, but goodness gracious, that's got to be irritating.
Yeah, I mean, they're unfortunately the at the little kids table now. The grown-ups are in the other room having the big discussions, and these two are kind of off to the side. And, you know, by expanding and tossing them, you know, you're really just tossing them a little extra, you know, hey, well, we're playing by the rules. We're giving the Big 12, we're giving the ACC an extra bid. But all you're really doing is kind of enhancing your power, it feels like. And kind of the same deal with the group of 5. Of course, you know, we're operating under a little bit of an illusion that it's a fair shake in the sense that we're letting in a group of 5 team. But really, it's kind of under the guise of getting as many teams from your own leagues in between these superpowers.
And that's the concession that they're making to that. Okay, we'll let the group of 5 team in, but we want 4 from our conference and, 4 from their conference.
Yeah, and like you said, and then also you got that wild card, which, more often than not, most likely it seems like it would be from one of those 2 leagues in question here.
And I guess under the current structure, Notre Dame is one of those 2 from the ACC.
Yeah, that's going to be the interesting thing is kind of how Notre Dame continues to kind of navigate this. We saw them; they could not have had a better deal, obviously, short of winning it all this past year. Don't have to share any of the revenue, and they kind of added their own legitimacy in the sense, hey, we are the biggest brand name outside of the Big Ten and the SEC, and by maintaining that independence, they continue to kind of wield a little power. It will be fascinating, you know, as this kind of continues down the road, where they fall in the pecking order and kind of how they navigate their own internal research on that. But it's going to be interesting because it certainly feels like we're the big two big bad bullies are kind of continuing. And we talk so much about how the SEC and the Big Ten, I guess to a lesser extent in this area of the country, kind of how much we crave and we love all those teams getting in. So if anything else, you know, we're right there in their market. Everybody's salivating to see more SEC matchups. This will be an opportunity to potentially do that.
It's just crazy when you read about this situation being discussed, and you know, they say, you know, the college football playoffs, 10 FBS conferences and Notre Dame. are meeting. Notre Dame should have to get in the conference.
They've got as much power as any independent school. I mean, we saw BYU for years and years, kind of unrelenting. That was like the only real vestige. We're not talking about UMass being in this situation here. We're not talking about any of the other independents. Notre Dame has got all the power, and especially by having the run that they did, they kind of proved their mettle. And it's interesting because they're willing to still maintain that independence, despite the fact, yes, they're not going to ever be eligible for one of those top four as it's currently constructed buys. But they're saying, oh, we're okay with that because we don't have to share any of the pot with anybody else.
Yeah, we'll take our chances as a 5 seed at best to keep all the money. Yeah. So, and you can't argue with the results, I don't guess, at least this past year. So.
Yeah, on the field and certainly financially. Like I said, UConn and UMass are sitting there saying, hey, we'd like some of that Notre Dame pie, and it ain't there to be shared.
No, that pie's not for you. Sorry. Flopping continues to be an issue in college football. It's being discussed by the Rules Committee this week in Indianapolis when they meet. Steve Shaw, the head of the Rules Committee, asked NCAA Secretary / Rules Editor, says we're at an inflection point. We have to do something. And I think having to do something is probably something that is a ship that sailed a couple of years ago. I think the question becomes, what do you do? And I think the reality of it is you got to be careful because not every injury is being faked. There are some actual legit injuries there. And then, some people are better at faking it than others as well. So you are asking officials to make decisions that are not going to be easily made. And I know everybody wants to deal with it, but you're putting officials in a tough position there.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I kind of like the approach that the Coaches Association has kind of put forward. If there's a stoppage, you have to come out the rest of the series. But if you get cleared and your team burns the timeout, then you can get back in. That may seem a little extreme, but that's certainly one way to alleviate flopping, it appears. If you want to get back out there, number one, you have to be cleared, and number two, you have to potentially burn a timeout. That may seem like a little bit of overreaction, but it certainly feels like it would, stop sending kind of your third or fourth defensive tackle out there and kind of just taking a dive. It feels like that would maybe potentially do that and it would kind of cater toward, if there is a legit injury, then you at least have the opportunity to get them back out there.
Yeah. Apparently the Southeastern Conference is talking about penalties for coaches, public reprimands, fines, and potentially suspensions.
I mean, that tells you all you need to know. We've kind of reached a point where we have to really, really go after some folks, whether it's impacting the game like the proposal I just meant or, financially. I mean, there's got to be – it seems like they're certainly taking it serious, right?
Yeah, I mean, they are saying all the right things. Like you said, it feels like they have reached an inflection point, as Steve Shaw said. So, but again, I don't think you can overlook the legitimate injury aspect of this. So you got to be real careful with that as well, I think. Finally, real quick, Nebraska has canceled its spring game after drawing 60,000 to last year's. Matt Rule says, with both offensive and defensive coordinators being new and just not necessarily wanting to put all of that out on display for their 12 opponents next year. Ohio State has gotten away from its spring game. Texas will as well. Football coaches have always been kind of conspiracy theorists. I don't know if people are actually paying attention to what you're doing at spring games or what, as far as, trying to get intel for the upcoming season. But, NC State has closed all 15 of its spring practices, so they won't have an open spring game. USC, Florida State, A handful of others are either limiting access or getting rid of the game entirely. I'm kind of surprised that Texas is. I mean, they're the only SEC team that I see doing anything like this. I mean, most of them just seem to kind of be bring it on, whatever. But paranoia or what?
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, I'm rolling through this list on this article here, and you know, some are legit reasons. Like Florida State's got their renovations to their stadium, so they're not going to host it in that regard. Texas kind of interesting. Sounds like they're going to almost do kind of like a combine type activity.
Speaking of folks buying tickets for combines, all right?
Yeah. That's the only thing that I am a little bit surprised is this is another chance to get folks into your stadium at a high level, like we've seen. You mentioned 60+ thousand. I mean, we've seen Tennessee obviously pack Neely a number of years. So I am kind of surprised in that regard. But also, I mean, what's considered the spring anymore? It feels like the rosters are always kind of in a constant state of flux. And so, you know, if a coach is thinking, hey, this kid that I go through all these workouts might potentially be on the move yet again. You know, I find this fascinating. This is kind of an interesting trickle-down effect in the sense of where we are with the current college football landscape.
Right. Yeah. Hour number one here on Top 5 Tuesday on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, is in the books. When we come back for hour number two after this break, we'll be joined by Main Street Media's Joe Sullivan. Stick around.
Hi, I'm Dr. Vilai Saisuka, CEO and founder of Premier Foot and Ankle Centers of Tennessee here in Murfreesboro. We offer foot and ankle care from ingrown toenails to diabetic foot wounds. We also fix ankle fractures and things like that.
Call us today to schedule an appointment. We look forward to seeing you.
Because here at Premier Foot and Ankle, we believe that
the journey begins with happy feet.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50+ years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Top 5 Tuesday, hour number two starts right now on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton, that's Wade Neely, and we are joined now by former Boston Globe sports editor Joe Sullivan of Main Street Media. And Joe, we were instructed by our previous guest, DUANE Rankin, to be sure and tell you hello. Apparently, you guys have a history.
We do. When I saw his picture up there, I was going to ask you about him. And DUANE is fabulous, covering the Suns out in Phoenix. And when he was a college student at Marshall University, he was my intern when I was sports editor at the Asbury Park Press. A lot of water under the bridge since then, a lot of less hair. But yes, DUANE and I go back a long, long time. And, I love him. I'm so glad to see, be so happy for his success. And
absolutely. Absolutely. And we were certainly pleased to catch up with him, certainly pleased to catch up with you as we do, and appreciate you indulging us a day early. We usually have the Blue Raider voice, Chip Walters, in this time slot, but Chip is traveling as the Blue Raiders making their final regular season road swing to New Mexico State and to Texas El Paso. So the intent is to have Chip tomorrow. But right now, Joe, as most of our local men's basketball teams get their final week of the regular season going this week, what are your talking points for them?
Well, I'm really focused on Lipscomb right now because they have one regular season game left. Okay. And they had a big win at Austin Peay last night. That was my first trip to the arena up there, which I was it's nice and shiny, but I was disappointed. There's hockey. There's like it's big enough for hockey.
Did you bundle up?
It wasn't. I was concerned, but it was okay. And it is. I just don't like basketball and hockey arenas, so I was disappointed in that sense. But I can also see where it might be a nice home court advantage for P if they revive that program. If Corey Gibson can do that, it didn't. It did not look revived last night. We've talked about Jarrett Burson on this show. He's the former statistician for ESPN, who's now in law school. And he tweeted this out last night that in its win last night, Lipscomb shot 60.4% from the field, 64.3 on three-pointers, 95% from the free throw line. And the last team to do that, those three categories, was Kentucky in 2022. But Lipscomb only had 6 turnovers. So when you add in the turnovers, Kentucky had more than 10. It's the best percentage with the lowest turnovers of any team in the last 15 years in the country is what we're talking about. So this is a really great performance by them last night.
And no less an authority than Lipscomb AD Philip Hutchison posted that on his Facebook last night, courtesy of Jared Burson. That's where I first saw it. So yeah, heck of a performance by the Bisons last night in that win at Austin Peay. What was it, 95-78? So they really took care of business up there. And with those numbers, it's easy to understand why or how.
So Jacob Agnatovich had another great night for them. He had 28 points, made 8 of 12 shots, and in the first meeting against Austin Peay, he had 31, making 11 of 12 shots. So Austin Peay absolutely has no answer for him. Last night they did double team him, which they failed to do the first time they played him. And basically they fouled him a lot, and he fought through a lot of it. And then he went out to the arc and hit a bunch of threes. So it was a really impressive performance by him. And so there's one game left, and Lipscomb is now tied with North Alabama, well, still tied with North Alabama for first in the Atlantic Sun. So the tiebreaker, I have to correct myself. Last week I said the tiebreaker was head-to-head, and then if that goes to net, I was incorrect, and I apologize to the audience for that. I apologize to my hosts here for making an error like that. It actually goes to that descending order record against opposing teams within the conference. So the perhaps really good news last night was that Eastern Kentucky lost and Florida Gulf Coast won. So Florida Gulf Coast is now in sole possession of third place. And under that tiebreaker, Gulf Coast beat North Alabama, and Lipscomb beat Gulf Coast. So Lipscomb has the tiebreaker in hand now. So what they have to do is beat Central Arkansas. Gulf Coast has to beat Bellarmine, the last place team. They're playing them at home Wednesday night. And then Lipscomb will be the overall number 1 seed, home court advantage throughout the Atlantic Sun tournament, which would be critical, especially not having to go to North Alabama, who has only lost 1 game at home all year.
It'll be critical because they play all their games on the road, don't they? I mean, they never do go to a central site, right?
Correct. All games at the home court of the higher seeded team. That's absolutely right.
Okay.
So
all right.
We'll see. It sounds very doable at this point, and it looked dire. And when I was talking to Lenny after the game last night, he said, if we win Wednesday night, I don't care what the tiebreaker, I'm putting a banner up. Co-champion.
Yep. There you go. Hey, work for Central Florida. Why not? Who else are we keeping an eye on? What else have we got going on?
So Vanderbilt, we can talk about Vanderbilt, and it always seems like, to me, I'm looking like, how many games can they win in the SEC? I keep asking myself that. So this morning, Joe Lenard of ESPN, the source I rely on for bracketology, has them once again, after beating Mississippi on Saturday, safely in the field as a 10 seed. They're not last four in or last four buys. They're even higher than that as a 10 seed. And they have to go to Texas A&M tomorrow night.
Mm-hmm.
A very difficult assignment, as we know. And then they're home
Probably
against
got a little bit more difficult after Texas A&M's last home game, too.
The Tennessee really took charge. So then they have Missouri at home, Arkansas at home, and then at Georgia. So what can we hope for here? Wade, you're good at this. 2-2? Can we hope for 2-2?
You can hope, and that's what I was wondering. If you could somehow sell out and win this game at Texas A&M. We talked with Jerry Palm yesterday. Is that enough to really, really make you feel good about Vanderbilt? And Jerry kind of said, you can't afford to lose the next three in bad fashion. But if you could somehow, go 2-2, I feel somewhat hopeful. And obviously, you prefer to be one of those two versus a ranked team.
Yes, that would be great. And they have two chances in the next two games. And Arkansas is also now pretty much an NCAA tournament team with their late success, their success lately, I should say. Mm-hmm. So it's 2-2, I think, is what Vanderbilt fans should root for. And I think we're going to see them in the NCAA tournament if they do that, which would be because then they were 2-2, they would finish 20-11 and 8-10. That I think that's going to be good enough to get them in, and that would be a remarkable achievement for Mark Byington.
A 20-win Vanderbilt team in this conference, I think it'd be tough to keep them out of the NCAA. Yeah. And if that transpires, if Mark Byington is not your SEC Coach of the Year, then who is?
Oh, you could have it's a big discussion here, but I think Bruce Pearl is the Coach of the Year based on the achievement of Auburn and how high, all that they played one of the toughest schedules in the country. And here they are ranked number 1 in the country or close to it in the top 4, top 3 all season long. That would be my vote. I don't think anyone was expecting that.
A little love for Dennis Gates of Missouri, perhaps?
Yeah.
To make that argument.
Todd Golden at Florida, perhaps?
Yeah. It's a lot of choices, isn't there?
There really are. Yeah, as you think about it.
Real quick, to Joe's point, though, ESPN's ranking its National Coach of the Year, their most recent poll. This is from late January, but they have Bruce Pearl number 1 with the Duke head coach, who shall not be named, at number 2.
What's that about? We can't mention John Shire's name?
It's just deep-seated Duke hatred on my end. Nothing else, nothing more.
So if we're rating your hatreds, Wade, Michigan State, Notre Dame, Duke, can you put them in order for me? Or
I would go, if we're just talking general, I would go Duke 1, Michigan State 2, Notre Dame, especially in basketball, kind of largely off the grid. Don't mind those guys as much.
All right. Just look, we all have our feelings lately. I have my own.
We do. We absolutely do.
I respect it.
Joe Sullivan of Main Street Media joining us here on Main Street Sports today. Joe, catch us up on Casey and the Bruins.
So they are just sort of, I would say, snugly in 4th place in the Valley. 2 games behind the teams above them and 2 games ahead of the teams below them. So they have 2 games left. Missouri State, the last place team in the league, they play tomorrow night at Missouri State. And then they're home against Murray State on Sunday afternoon for their final game. This is
that should be spicy.
Yeah, that could be. But if they go 1-1, 2-0, even if they go 1-2, they're still probably going to finish fourth. So, and I don't think they'll go 1-2. And it's a good accomplishment for them, considering where Casey started with his roster. And they excuse me, they get the bye into the quarterfinals by finishing fourth, which they didn't have last year, and it hurt them. So they're in a good spot. That was after their last home game. I was talking to Carter Witt, their point guard, and I asked him what he thought his team's chances were legitimately going into St. Louis in Arch Madness. And he said, I think we have the team that can win 3 games, play well 3 straight games, and win out there. So he's feeling confident. Hey, while we're on Belmont, I want to give you a really interesting stat that was posted. I'm going to give credit to CBS Sports Network. I'll admit I was watching South Dakota State. This is where I'm revealed as a real geek again. And they posted the top 5 home court records since 2011 and 2012.
Oh, wow.
So they were number 1, Kansas. Not surprising, right? Number 2.
Well, not surprising, but they've not added a whole lot to that this year, I don't guess.
No, they haven't. Well, we'll get to that too. Gonzaga 2. Gonzaga 2, the Jackrabbits of South Dakota State 3. That's why they showed the graphic. Duke, sorry, Wade, 4th.
That's okay.
And 5th, the Belmont Bruins. And I was really surprised by that. That they and they lost 5 home games. They've lost 5 home games this year. Yeah, so it was. So
it was even better then, huh?
Yeah, and so the other thing about Belmont, with the streaks they have, if they're 19-10, if they win one of these last 2 games, they'll get 20 wins for the 15th consecutive season. And the only other schools who have done that is Kansas, but they have to win one more game. I think they will. Gonzaga and Oregon. So those are the only 4 schools that have won 20 games in 15 straight seasons.
Kansas, Oregon, Gonzaga, and Belmont.
And Belmont, our Belmont Bruins. So it's really solid. You stop thinking about what was accomplished over there by Rick Byrd and Casey Alexander. It really is. It's remarkable, and it's the transfer portals change things. You know, where they could recruit players and develop them. Doesn't seem to be the way to go anymore. And so obviously Casey's making an adjustment. He did his best he could this year, and so we'll see how that looks into the future.
Yeah, and I would think if you had asked Casey at the onset of this season, you know, will you all be extending that streak this year? I don't think he would have given you very good odds on that, really.
And I did preseason predictions for Main Street Nashville, and I think that, and I said this is the year the streak would stop. And I'm glad to be proved wrong again.
Well, I will give you kudos for going out there on that limb and being so decisive on it, even as it looks as if you're going to be wrong. So
yes,
good stuff. You know, we talked a little bit last week about Tennessee State and how they were surging in the OVC. Kind of flattened out a little bit here of late.
I'm gritting my teeth for Penny Collins. You know, I saw Penny. He was at the Belmont game when they retired Ian Clark's number. And I talked to him there, and I said, "Boy, you look great the other night against SIUE for a half, and then things change." And he goes, "We can be great, and then we have these ruts, and it's just a matter of like having fewer rut time and more of the good times, and they haven't mastered it yet." They threw away a game at Tennessee Tech on Saturday. I thought they were up 10 early, and they had the game. I don't want to say locked down, but they were the better team. They were in control, and then they just could not close it out. But look, they finished the season with Morehead State and Southern Indiana at home games. They can finish 4th, which is good. That's the goal. They finished 4th. The way the Ohio Valley works, the first and second teams get buys into the semifinals. Fourth and the 3 and 4 then are in the quarterfinals, and then the 5 through 8 play a first round. So if you can avoid that first round, it's always good to play fewer games if possible. So that should be the goal right now for them, and achievable still with 2 games left.
Especially both being at home.
Correct. And then we have your Raiders. I just don't know about your Raiders. That loss to Louisiana Tech at home Thursday, it seems they seem to disappoint us at key moments this year.
Louisiana Tech is a bad matchup for MTSU, apparently, no matter how well or how badly they are playing, or no matter how well Middle is playing or how badly La Tech is playing. They just don't seem to be able to deal with them. It's just a bad matchup. They got to try to stay away from them once they get to Huntsville at all costs. So I think you just got to kind of throw that out. Seriously.
So, but they have a difficult road trip coming up here. I was listening on the radio and the legend, Chip Walters, who I feel like I'm subbing for a legend here. Was talking about the upcoming road trip, and he goes, we're going to that the town. Well, now he quoted the song lyric about the town, West Town in West Texas.
The West Texas town of El Paso.
Thank
Marty
you.
Robbins.
Yes. So he quotes the lyric, and it was very clever. And so they go to El Paso and Las Cruces, New Mexico. They're playing New Mexico State. This is a tough road trip. I don't know, no matter how you look at it. These teams, New Mexico State's right behind Middle in fourth place, and UTEP's 500 in the league. I hesitate to say where Middle's going to stand when we talk again next week.
I understand. I mean, this is a trip where they could go 2-0, they could go to 0-2, they could go 1-1, and as long as Jack State continues doing what they're doing, I don't know that it matters really. So,
maybe, but New Mexico State got them, especially down in Jacksonville. So they're kind of rolling right now. New Mexico State, the hottest team in the league currently at the moment.
And New Mexico State beat Middle at Murfreesboro. So it is, let's see what happens. I think you're right. Jacksonville State looks like they're going to win this league. Liberty looks like they're going to finish second. And then the rest of it is just all bunched together. So many of these leagues right now.
Thursday night is the key game, it seems like. Jack State at Liberty.
Yes.
With trailing just by one game, that feels like that could be potentially for all the marbles.
Yeah, agreed.
Tennessee goes to Baton Rouge tonight, Joe, coming off a pretty solid performance, to say the least, out at College Station. I've seen some things on social media over the last couple of days referring to this as a potential trap game. Tennessee would have to get trapped for real, though, to lose this game at LSU, right?
Yes. I mean, LSU really is at the bottom of the league. And they, I can't, as long as Tennessee doesn't completely fall asleep, they're going to win at LSU. I haven't seen enough of LSU to think they could even compete with Tennessee. Look, I can understand that because there are tougher games ahead, but I think Tennessee will be okay at LSU.
Okay. All right. What you got your eye on over the next few days between now and
so we'll be at Lipscomb tomorrow night, the final game of the regular season, to see if they can clinch that out. And then Sunday I'll be at Belmont. Missouri's at Vanderbilt on Saturday. I can't make it, but that's a good game. If I think Vanderbilt's enjoying very well, but fans should really think about that's an interesting SEC game worth going to. Saturday at 5, really is. I think it is. Yeah,
and it's a rematch of a game, and we've talked about this game when Vanderbilt went to Como. It was a 3-point game late. Vanderbilt turned it over a couple of times. Missouri went down and scored at the other end and pulled away to a relatively comfortable victory. But this is a winnable game for Vanderbilt, I feel like, especially on their floor.
Agreed. And that'll be an important win. Another step toward getting that at-large bid.
Yeah. Joe, before we let you out, we had talked off air earlier today. There was something you wanted to get off your chest.
It is. Thank you for the time to do this. So I was just really perturbed, I guess is the word I would use, when I saw that Kevin Willard, the Maryland coach, talked about his star freshman Derek Queen, who's projected to be most likely a lottery pick. Big kid, 6'10", 245 pounds. He's got an NBA body already, and he said If he was white and European, he'd be drafted number 1. Well, it's just, all right, now wait a second. So the first thing I did was go back and let me look at the history of overall number 1 draft picks. And Zachary Rechache last year was number 1 overall, European and white. And then you got to go all the way back to 2005 for Andrea Bargnani, the Raptors. Nice choice. And so right away, it's just wrong, is what I'm saying. It's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
He's wrong to say that. Just because last year that was true. And it is, but I just like the idea that he, as a leader of men, an educator for a state university, would inject racism into something like this. Just, I think we need less of it in these times when we are so polarized in so many ways. And, here's what I believe. A lot of people could say they're not racist, but I think more people should try to be anti-racist. In other words, avoid these types of conversation. Tell people that you're talking with that this is the wrong way to talk about things. And we don't need to stereotype people no matter who they are. And I think he, as a leader of men from a university, should not be doing this. Now, I'm told he's a wise guy and he was trying to be funny. I don't want to come off here like don't have a sense of humor. My favorite comedian is a guy named Jeff Ross. You guys know Jeff Ross?
I'm not familiar with him.
I saw him this weekend in Vegas.
You did, and how funny is he? He's hilarious, right?
The room that we were in was not necessarily his direct clientele, so the jokes did not go over quite as well, but they were gold. They were hilarious.
So I went to see Jeff Ross at Zany's, and he is disgusting and decadent and all of those things. He had a 10-minute bit on Queen Elizabeth that was like one of those vile comedy bits you could ever hear. And you know what? I laughed because it was very funny. But here's my point. I laughed because I'm going to Zany's to see Jeff Ross. I know what I'm getting. I know what he's bringing to it. And this is a spot where if you come into Zany's, people are going to tell racist jokes. And you have to sort of accept whether, if you don't like it, don't come, obviously. But I mean, I think it's like how can I say it? That's the spot for that stuff. And I want to have a sense of humor. A university, a leader of men, should not inject race into anything. That's my point I want to make. And I thank you guys for letting me say it.
Absolutely.
I love that we have Jeff Ross in common, Wade.
He was good. He was Jimmy Kimmel received an award at this banquet we were at, and he was roasting Jimmy just like he was roasting anybody else. So it was good. But yeah, it was a little uncomfortable for I think a lot of folks in the room.
Well, that's his goal. He makes it.
Mission accomplished. Joe Sullivan of Main Street Media joining us here on Main Street Sports today, talking little local hoops. We will try probably to get Joe back on schedule next Wednesday if Chip cooperates. So, Joe, we appreciate your flexibility this week and look forward to catching back up with you.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. We'll talk. We will continue Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. After this break, we will get into the grab bag. Stick around.
Hi, I'm Riley, a certified physician associate here at Premier Foot and Ankle Centers of Tennessee. We have a couple locations, Murfreesboro, McMinnville, as well as Franklin. We treat people of all ages. We're excited to get you back on your feet and hope we can help you today.
Call us today to schedule an appointment. We look forward to seeing you.
Because here at Premier Foot and Ankle, we believe that
the journey begins with happy feet.
You're seeing the signs too, right?
What signs?
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated cost plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Top 5 Tuesday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. In our final segment, Wade and I will give you our top 5 bad movies we like. So stick around for that. Right now, it's the grab bag. Yesterday, we mentioned that the Yankees got rid of their ban on facial hair here over the last few days. Wait, the Yankees seem to have suddenly lost their way. I don't know what's going on up there, but it's been announced now they will only play the Sinatra Standard New York, New York after wins. It's been played at the conclusion of home games, win or lose. That they are not going to play it after losses. I guess it's not up to you, New York, New York. After losses. Yankee players stated that they were growing tired of hearing the song after losses. As a result, the Yankees will play a various collection of songs following losses beginning this season. Sunday in spring training, after they lost to the Tigers, they played Sinatra's That's Life. This is wild. What are we doing?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of touched on it yesterday. I think the Dodgers have officially broken the Yankees. They are throwing out years and years of tradition after losing their status in the MLB pecking order on the field and their status as the evil empire. They kind of are all out of sorts. And, on one hand, you have that going for you. On the other hand, though, it is, if it is the players that are bringing this, the players also mentioned in the facial hair ban. I mean, the Yankees are borderline approaching likable status at this point in terms of listening to their players here at this point, it seems like.
Well, I mean, and I guess there's got to be something too. They are the guys on the field. Maybe there's something to be said for it, but I kind of wonder what took so long for the players to rise up and say, hey, you know what? We want beards. we want hair, and we're tired of Sinatra. I mean, what is it about 2025? And it's not like the players had a whole lot of bargaining power after last year's World Series either. So I don't know.
It's going to be interesting. I mean, I'm kind of a little surprised that it was played after losses. I kind of can maybe see that. I mean, it's supposed to, kind of get you in a upbeat mood, a joyous mood. And, the last thing you want is playing your guts out and then lose a heartbreaker. And you're supposed to all of a sudden have the same song that you feel when you're used to winning a game. So, they're switching it up. They're game ops. Their job just got a little bit tougher trying to maneuver, as opposed to just hitting that play button no matter win or lose at this point.
Yeah. should be something to keep an eye on what they do play and that kind of thing. But I guess New York will now be undefeated at Yankee Stadium because they're only going to play it after wins. Couple of spring training moves as both the Milwaukee Brewers and the Texas Rangers have added some outfield depth. Brewers bringing in Mark Canha, who played a couple of years ago for the Mets. Last year, he was with the Tigers and the Giants. Blake Perkins, former Nashville Sound, apparently sustained a fractured shin here in spring training camp. And so they needed to kind of shore things up out there. I mean, Perkins was in the mix out there. Canha will be in the mix out there along with another ex-Sound, Sal Frelick, who was really coming on, but I think he had some injury issues last year as well. Canha was in with Milwaukee in 23. Again, spent 24 with the Detroit Tigers and the San Francisco Giants, hit 242 with 7 home runs, 7 steals, played in 125 games. So Brewers got some options out there, hoping to keep the outfielder who they got from the Marlins, whose name is suddenly escaping me. Don't get old. Christian Yelich. If he can stay on the field, that will be a big help for Milwaukee, but that Canha will give them some flexibility in the other 2 spots there. So while they try to get Perkins healed up. Meanwhile, Kevin Pillar, speaking of banged up outfielders, he will work in with Evan Carter, the kid from Upper East Tennessee, former Florida standout Wyatt Langford, and Adolis Garcia, an all-star last year. Pillar was with the White Sox and Angels last year, 36. He's coming in as a non-roster invitee, I guess, on a minor league deal. So you would think that he's probably going to wind up on the team just because that's what he does, man. He plays great defense and he grinds out at bats, and he's a veteran, and Bochy's going to like him. So we'll see how that goes. But a couple of veteran outfielders catching on with teams here as spring training opens up.
Yeah, part of it, right? I mean, somebody goes down, you got to at least, maybe not necessarily a guy you would think or want with your max availability in terms of your current construct, but injuries part of it, even in the preseason, even in spring training. And so they could probably have done worse than to snag these guys off the scrap heap, you would think.
No doubt. The Mets are not waiting until the regular season to start metting. Sean Manaea has been shut down with an oblique strain and is not likely to be on the opening day roster. Frankie Montas has a lat strain and he is out. So again, the pitching for the Mets taking a hit before they can even get rolling good. Already, Kodai Senga, who threw well for them at times last year, but suffered a couple of injuries and was unavailable for a large majority of the season. Clay Holmes coming over from the Yankees. The idea is to bring him out of the pen and insert him into the rotation. So the Mets have got some questions with their pitching. Maybe looking outside the organization to add some reinforcements, which kicks up the dust around a couple of San Diego pitchers, apparently, Dylan Cease and Michael King, both of whom were rumored to possibly be on the move over the offseason, and it never happened. So for everything that the Mets did over the offseason, it sounds as if they may still be active between now and the start.
Yeah, interesting, right? We talk so much about Soto and Alonso, and you got to me, it seems you got two strategies here. Either just roll with what you got and kind of grind through it, try and win as many slugfests as you can, or like you just mentioned, for a team with a seemingly unlimited payroll, why not just go out and grab somebody, and then maybe bolster. Maybe this was a bad thing for the rest of the NL. Kind of the Mets maybe now realize, oh yeah, we are a little short in our arms, and this is a chance to go out and kind of fill some holes here. Maybe this was a bad thing because now they kind of know where their weaknesses are. But yeah, tough kind of start before we really even get things officially cranked up.
Yeah, exactly. A encouraging start though. Apparently Soto homered in his first at bat in his first spring training game for the Mets. So there's a little lift for him.
Could be a lot of 11-9 games in their future.
Yeah, with him and the polar bear, it may have to be, From the college baseball ranks, Texas A&M trying to repeat or improve on their national runner-up finish last year will be without sophomore third baseman Gavin Grohovac. He was the SEC Freshman of the Year this past year, but apparently had a shoulder injury last year and aggravated it in the season opener against Elon. Tried to play on it or play with it and eventually came to the conclusion that he's going to have work done on that and is going to miss the remainder of the season. Preseason All-American as judged by D1 Baseball, the National College Baseball Writers Association, and Perfect Game. Preseason first team All-Conference selection. And again, last year's SEC Freshman of the Year. So tough loss for the Aggies there. Hit 2 home runs in 6 games, but was hitting just .227. 2 homers, a double, 6 RBIs, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. Had 3 of A&M's 11 errors through 6 games. Again, as a freshman, set single season freshman records for A&M with 23 home runs, 66 ribs, also 16 doubles, and he batted .298. So obviously going to be missed by the Aggies as they try to figure out the infield without him at this point. So
yeah, Texas A&M kind of coming back down to earth in terms of, man, they have a loaded roster in terms of, future MLB guys and tons of talent. So obviously this is one institution that can kind of, find a little bit of a plug, but man, that is a big loss for the Aggies.
Yeah. We mentioned during the rundown, the Florida Panthers come to Bridgestone Arena tonight, taking on the Predators. Predators kind of are what they are. So Florida, one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference. It stands to be an ugly night, but as we've seen on various occasions, this is the type game that the Predators win. So who the heck knows?
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Maybe they can rally. Florida's still going to be without Matthew Tkachuk after he kind of takes a real knock, lower body injury right there at the end of the Four Nations. He went on Jimmy Fallon last night kind of talking about, the Four Nations and kind of his injury, and it says he's definitely recovering right now. So, maybe with a little wounded Panthers team, a chance for the Preds to jump up and grab a nice home victory here this evening. It would be sweet.
No doubt. Former Tennessee women's athletics director Joan Cronin has been named the Women's Basketball Coaches Association's Betty Janes Lifetime Achievement Award winner for 2025. Joan Cronin, again, has served as women's AD, athletics director, vice chancellor, advisor to the chancellor, and consultant, and she is currently AD emeritus at the University of Tennessee. She's been on campus since 1968, with the exception of a 10-year run as athletics director over at the College of Charleston, came back as women's AD at UT, and has been a fixture and was so pivotal to the success of Pat Summitt and the Lady Vols during her tenure there. She is in 11 different halls of fame, including the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame, the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame, the Hall of Fame in her native Louisiana, UT Athletics Hall of Fame, the Greater Knoxville Sports Hall of Fame, and again, now being recognized by the WBCA with their Betty Jane's Lifetime Achievement Award. So congratulations to her. Huge honor and much deserved.
Absolutely. One of the kind of real titans in terms of women's athletics, maybe, not even across the state of Tennessee, but certainly across the Southeastern Conference and even nationally. And this is kind of just another chapter in her legacy, another nice notch for her, because she has been so fantastic in that run. And good friend of Martin Methodist College, really good friend of Jeff Bain. Very cool to see her pick up yet another well-deserved accolade kind of during this flourishing now that we're seeing of women's sports. She kind of was at the forefront of all that.
Absolutely, man. Like you said, I mean, there's no accolade that she can receive that she's not deserving of for her work, with UT women's athletics and, on a national level with women's athletics, at a time when it wasn't necessarily cool always to be championing women's athletics. And she was out front on a lot of that stuff, and not just women's basketball either, just women's athletics across the board at the University of Tennessee. Joan Cronin's masterpiece, the Tennessee Lady Vols Dynasty, is an iconic brand and symbol of women's basketball excellence, according to WBCA Executive Director Danielle Donahue. Joan and Pat Summitt established the standard to which all programs aspire. Joan's impact on her coaches, support staff, and student athletes is immeasurable. Her vision and relationships delivered significant investments for salaries, budgets, facilities, and fundraising. She is a Tennessee treasure, national leader, and mentor to many, including me. So, again, congratulations to Joan Cronin for another well-deserved award. Let's take a quick break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we return, it'll be the final segment of Top 5 Tuesday, which means it's time for Top 5 Tuesday. Wade and I will give you our top 5 bad movies we like. Stick around.
So, you want to be a part of the Busy Bee team, huh? Well, how do you see yourself fitting into the organization? Oh, I get it. You want to be a weather bee.
It is the final segment of Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton, and it's time for Top 5 Tuesday, presented by Mid-South 5 Fitness. 2 great locations, one in Franklin, one in Columbia. Whatever shape it is you're in, Thalas Steel will get you in a better one. You can find him at steelathletes.com. That's STEEL athletes.com. Thalas Steel with Mid-South 5 Fitness, bringing you Top 5 Tuesday. Again, the Oscars are this weekend, and so Wade and I will give you our list of movies that did not win Oscars, but are movies we kind of like. So, bad movies we like is our Top 5 Tuesday topic, and Wade, the floor is yours.
Appreciate it, Mo. And yeah, this is like I said, these aren't going to win any awards. These probably didn't win many, if any, awards. But you still like them. And this one kind of was dawned on me because my first pick, I was obsessed with this movie growing up. I never read the book, but I watched the trailer growing up, and I was so pumped to watch it. And I actually rewatched it about a year and a half ago. But I watched Congo from 1995, the Michael Crichton book. I loved the movie growing up, and I was just so pumped and so amped. And then I enjoyed the remake. And then I got a Rotten Tomatoes. It has a 7% rating. And I gasped in horror because I'm the type of guy, I don't really watch too many movies unless they get good reviews. Yeah. So when I see Congo with that bad a review, it kind of threw me into a little bit of a tailspin about my worldview in general. So I feel like I'm a little underwhelmed. So Congo from 95 has got to be at the top of my list.
I don't pay a whole lot of attention to awards and cinematography and that kind of thing. It's just kind of does it entertain me? Does it make me laugh? And, I can't imagine Beverly Hills Cop won any awards back in the 80s when Eddie Murphy was on the come up, but it was funny as hell. And it probably wasn't great cinema, but I liked it. Beverly Hills Cop is my number one.
Yeah, that's a good one, whether it wins any awards or not. The newer ones, or the as it went downward in the series, then you can really, those are the ones that, maybe they're not so great, but we still like them, right?
Right. Yeah. The farther that vehicle went, that franchise went, probably the worse they got. But yeah, we will start with the OG, the original. So
yeah, quick Google says it was up for at least a People's Choice Award for favorite movie. So at least you got some company there. So it was decent. Up next for me, kind of right on the success of Home Alone. But you go back to 1993. What if Macaulay Culkin was bad? That was the premise of the movie The Good Son. And me and the wife rewatched this one not too long ago. Really enjoyed it. It's 25% on Rotten Tomatoes. And again, we kind of just gasped and said, oh my goodness, we felt bad for even liking that movie at that point. I mean, it felt like we were shook to our core. But evil Macaulay Culkin, you got a young Elijah Wood in the movie as well. That's up next on my list right there from 93.
My number two is, it's a guilty pleasure. I'm kind of an action movie guy. And Damon Wayans is not necessarily an action movie guy, but when you throw him in with Bruce Willis in The Last Boy Scout from 1992, it's you've got Bruce Willis, you've got Damon Wayans, and you've got Halle Berry on the same set. There's again, it's not great cinema, but I liked it. So The Last Boy Scout is my number two.
Yeah, and it's kind of one that has a cult following as well, and so some iconic scenes in that movie, to say the least.
It's got 46% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, and we're creeping toward respectability. When we're talking about that.
I'm a little surprised at that, actually, but okay. All right, number three, Wade.
Number three for me, I got a few down the stretch here, but I'm going to go a little more recent. Ocean's 12. I'm a huge Ocean's fan. Even the OG back, in the Rat Pack era. But Ocean's 12, I loved when they go to Europe. I love the ensemble cast as always. That movie wasn't that great, really, in the grand scheme of things. And it was probably the poorest showing of the entire reboot during the franchise's heyday. But Ocean's 12, when they go to Europe, kind of a real guilty pleasure of mine. It's certainly not above Ocean's 11, but I enjoy it just the same, even though it was kind of a stinker.
Yeah. Again, this one probably wasn't one of Keanu's better efforts, but I'm going to go with Hardball. Again, it's a 41% on Rotten Tomatoes. Not going to win a lot of awards, but a little bit of a tearjerker there. And it's got Keanu in it, so it can't be too bad, even if it's not necessarily great. I'm going with Hardball.
That's a good pull there, and I'm with you. That's the one that'll kind of get you in your feels a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And if you don't know why, just check it out. Because we don't want to spoil it. Yeah. Number 4, Wade.
Up next on my list, this is one of my all-time favorite movies. It's not the greatest movie you've ever seen, but Tommy Boy from '95 is. It's a movie I can pretty much quote from start to finish. You got a little bit of everything. Farley is absolutely throwing 100 miles an hour in the movie. Spade is about as good as he gets. Them two kind of kickstarting their little run together. I mean, that really is almost as good as it gets. And Dan
Aykroyd playing a villain, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, Zelensky comes in at the end, and he's kind of the schmarmy guy. It's a great watch. It's on network TV a ton too, so you can find it and pop in and out, which I love. So give me Tommy Boy, man. One of my all-time faves.
That's a good call. This one, I don't think it was a very good movie, but they made like 2 more of them afterward. But again, I'm going to the OG, Major League.
Oh, yeah.
Tom Berenger, Wesley Snipes. There were some names in it. Again, not great, not award-winning, but enjoyable. It's an 83 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, that's one of the all-timers.
Wow. Okay. Maybe
You're in good company. You're a film snob. You just didn't know it.
Hey, apparently I am. Yeah. Who knew? Yeah. Major League is my number 4.
Major League's a great movie, great watch. Props well deserved. Final one on my list. Scotty doesn't know. That's the refrain from the 2004 classic Euro Trip, and this is one. I mean, there were so many movies kind of in the early 2000s that kind of fit this bill. Kind of a college age type movie where you just watch and you can laugh, you can enjoy, and you don't really have to think about whether it was a great movie or not. But Euro Trip is an all-time one for me. It came out in 2004, and that's at the top of the list.
I like it.
Even though it's at the bottom of my list.
My number 5 is a biographical movie, actually, and it's a Dennis Quaid movie, and it's probably, again, not one of his better movies, but The Rookie, where he portrays former Tampa Bay reliever Jim Morris, based on a true story and all that good stuff. Pretty cool premise. Again, if you're not familiar with it, check it out, but because I don't want to ruin it, but The Rookie is my number 5. It's again not great cinematography, and I can't find how many Rotten Tomatoes it has because it's getting confused with the TV series The Rookie. But it's good stuff if you like baseball. So that's my number 5, The Rookie.
I want to give a quick honorable mention. This is broad sweeping, but you could throw any Steven Seagal movie on this list. Growing up, he seemingly came out with a new one every couple of months. You can swing into Movie Gallery and pick you up one. They're all going to be bad, but you're all going to kind of watch them. Growing up, you kind of like those. And then I still haven't seen Draft Day, but a lot of people say they love that movie, even though pretty bad.
I wouldn't call it bad. It was just kind of meh, but I like the storyline, and this is kind of the time of year for it, I guess.
Yeah, it's on our list.
There we go. That's going to do it for Top 5 Tuesday, presented by Mid-South 5 Fitness. Again, 2 great locations, one in Franklin, one in Columbia. Check out Dallas Steele at Steel Athletes, STEEL athletes.com. That is going to do it for Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. We will see you all at 2 o'clock tomorrow with Chip Walters and Heather Williams. Come back.